Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be continuing the series on product rule, and this is episode 7, and like you guys who've been following me, you know that when I say episode 7, I mean question 7, meaning the 7th unique question for this series. And for this video, we have f of x equals x plus 2 root x close bracket e to the x. Now, the first thing you have to observe whenever you're dealing with product rule is this. Since you know that you're supposed to differentiate this, in calculus, whenever you're given a function or like an entire function like this, right? This entire thing is a function. The way you're going to know to apply product rule is 1, if you're asked to apply the product rule. 2, if you can see that in between, if you can see that the function has 2 subfunctions. So in this case, the 2 subfunctions will be, the first subfunction is x plus 2 root x. That's the first subfunction. And the second subfunction is e to the x. Now, if you've been watching other parts of like my channel, like the other videos in my channel, you realize that you can also basically multiply through. You can decide to say multiply e to the x, and you end up with x e to the x, right? Sorry, x e to the x plus 2 root x e to the x. You can do that as well, but in order for us to be able to simplify and get our work done, I would advise that we do not multiply through, because if we do multiply through, we're going to be doing 2 different product rules. We're going to apply a product rule to this information here and apply a product rule to this information, but we don't want to do that. We just want to apply the product rule once, and we want to, in math, always try your possible best to make your work much easier for you. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to underdo it. You just have to find the balance in whatever I can do to make my question or the problem less complicated is the best way for you to solve a problem, so you don't get confused. So I advise you in this situation not to multiply through. You should not multiply e to the x by what is in the bracket. So don't multiply the 2 subfunctions together to solve it. Just leave it as it is. So now, if you've been watching the videos, then you would know that I always go into detail at the beginning, just so in case anyone is new to the video or to the channel, and they just popped up on like episode 7 rather than the beginning of the series, they can be able to handle it. So this is what I want you guys to know. When you want to, your product rule looks like this. Product rule is basically the derivative of the first subfunction, f prime of x, use the subfunction, so f of x is the first subfunction, multiplied by just the second subfunction that has not been derived, plus, right, the derivative of the second subfunction, g prime of x, multiplied by the first subfunction, which is f of x. That is basically what the product rule is. So in this case, we're going to say f of x, all of this prime. Or if you want to write it the way we've been writing it just for consistency, you can also say b over dx of f of x as differentiating f of x with respect to x. So that's the same thing as differentiation of the first subfunction, which is d dx of f of x, right? That's that one. And then this whole information multiplied by the second subfunction g of x underived, okay? Plus the derivative of the second subfunction, okay, d dx of second subfunction of g of x. Okay, so that's it. So this multiplied by just the first subfunction that has not been derived. So that's basically what the product rule looks like. And if you can get this sorted out at the beginning of any problem you're given, and you can have this in your burnt in your brain as a part of your memory, you're going to be able to answer this question. So now that we know that, and we know that we're going to apply the product rule, we're going to identify what f of x is in this particular question. So in this particular question, we're given x plus 2 root x multiplied by e to the x. Now that means the first subfunction in this case, right? The first subfunction. So first subfunc is going to be x plus 2 root x. Important for you to know. And then the second subfunction is e to the x. That's the second subfunction. So the first subfunction is x plus 2 root x, right? And the second subfunction is e to the x. Now, one thing you need to know is because we're doing product rule, we know that whenever you're dealing with something called like product rule, or sorry, product by itself, when you hear product, you're in math, you're talking about multiplication. Note that if you decide to write your function f of x like this is just important for all of us to know. So if you decide to write e to the x like this and then x plus 2 root x, or you leave it as it is above, which is x plus 2 root x, right, multiplied by e to the x, you're going to get the same answer, because since it's product and since it's product, there's no division, there's nothing like that, or subtraction that is going to confuse or anything like that. It's just the product rule involves multiplication and addition. If you decide to switch both subfunctions, it's not going to affect your answer. It's not going to affect your solution. It's not going to even affect the process of solving the problem. It's just going to change the position of the answers. So I just wanted to put that down. So now let's go into the question. Let's go to the next page. And we're going to start solving, which I'm sure many people are excited to do because, like, why not? So f of x equals x plus 2 root x multiplied by e to the x. So now that we have this, we're going to identify, we know that our first subfunction, in this case, our subfunction is basically going to be f of x, and f of x in this case is f of x is equals to x plus 2 root x. Okay, and then the second subfunction, which is g of x, so g of x is going to be equals to e to the x. Okay, now we know that. Let's go. So now we have f of x, right, d dx, right, equals d dx of the first subfunction, so that would be x plus 2 root x, sorry, I don't know why I keep saying something else, right, multiplied by e to the x plus d dx of the second function, so derivative of the second subfunction multiplied by just the first subfunction. So in this case, we have x plus 2 root x. If you're confused, please go back to the previous page and you're going to be able to see what's going on. So now let's start solving. And yeah, now the first thing I need you to know is this. Whenever you're asked to solve something that has a square root or if any form of root, you have to note this, right? please note this. I'm going to do it in the blue box. If you are given square root of x or square root of 2, what they're telling you is that square root of x is the same thing as x raised to the power of half. Square root of 2 is the same thing as 2 raised to the power of half. If they're telling you to do like the cubed root of, say, y, that's the same thing as y raised to the power of 1 over 3. We are supposed to do like the fifth root of b, is the same thing as b raised to the power of 1 over 5. So I just wanted you guys to know. So we're going to use that, what I just explained, and apply it so that you make our differentiation process a lot easier, right? So we have that to be, so we're deriving, we're doing the derivative of x here, and when we do that, we have 1, okay, plus, what is the derivative of 2 root x? So don't forget what 2 root x is. What did we say 2 root x was? 2 root x is the same thing as 2. Please look at the bottom here. X raised to the power of half. Whenever you want to apply the power rule, we're going to do that. So now this here is just trying to tell me 2, right? We're going to bring that x, right? Since we're applying the since we want to apply the power rule, actually we're not going to say 2x, we're going to do 2. Since it's x raised to the power of 1/2, what we're just going to do is we're going to drop that 1/2. So here is the same thing as 2x raised to the power of 1/2. We're applying the power rule, so we're going to do 2 1/2, okay, x 1/2. Now we're going to do minus 1. Remember what the power rule is? Power rule is basically when you're given x raised to the power of n, and when you're supposed to do the derivative of it, what you're going to end up doing is bringing down the power n, and then x, and then that power of n that you brought down, we're going to decrease that power by 1, so that will be n minus 1. And n, this power rule can only apply when n is not equals to 0, or n is a real number. And guess what? 1 over 2 of x raised to the power of 1 over 2 is not equal to 0, and it is a real number, so we can apply it here. So this is what is going on here. That's that one. Now all of that, right, multiplied by e to the x plus this one. So what is the derivative of e to the x? The derivative of e to the x is simply e to the x, and we're not going to differentiate the first subfunction, so we're going to leave it as it is. So here we're going to end up with x plus 2 root x. Voila! So now that we've done that, we can now continue our work. So we have this to be 1 plus, now let's do the solution. When we bring down 1/2 and we have 2 in front of it, these two are gonna cancel out. So we're gonna end up with 1 plus x half minus 1 is the same thing as negative 1/2. Let's go to the previous page. Let me quickly show you what that is. So 1/2, right, minus 1 is the same thing as saying 1/2 minus 2 over 2, because you're gonna find the LCM of what you're doing, and we're gonna try to make the denominator to be the same. So when you want to make the denominator the same, we're just gonna do 1 over 2 minus 1 over 1, right? It's the same thing as 1 over 2 minus 2 over 2, because we want the denominator of 2 here to be the same on this side, so we just do 2 times 2, right? So 1 over 2 minus 2 over 2, we have a common denominator now, so we have that, put that down, and then 1 minus 2 is the same thing as negative 1. So let's go to the next page. So here, that's how we have x raised to the power negative 1 over 2, because that's what we did here. I'm going to box it here in green, circle it here in green, That's how we get negative 1 over 2. So that's it. So it's basically 1 over 2 minus 2 over 2. Same thing as negative 1 over 2. That's how we get it here. So that's that work differentiated multiplied by e to the x plus this part here. We have e to the x of x plus 2 root of x. Okay, so now let's multiply through. That's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna do something called multiplication, like multiply through. So you have e to the x, right, plus e to the x multiplied by x raised to the power 1/2. So that's e to the x multiplied by x raised to the power negative 1/2. Sorry, not 1/2, negative 1/2 plus e to the x times x is the same thing here as basically x e to the x, right? Plus e to the x 2 root of x. So I'm gonna just go to the next page now and just rewrite everything in the blue box so you guys, so that it's clearer, because it's already looking like so much information. Information on the right is just to help you solve the information on the left, by the way. So that is that, and then you have, let me rewrite it. So you have e to the x plus e to the x of x raised to the power negative 1/2 plus x e to the x plus e to the x 2 root of x. That is your answer. But now we have x raised to the power negative 1/2. In order for us to solve this, it doesn't require too much like mental strength or energy. X raised to the power of negative 1/2, just like x 1 over 2, right, is the same thing as square root of x. Now, x raised to the power negative 1 is the same thing as 1 over x. So therefore, when we look at these two information, it's important for us to know that when we have x raised to the power negative 1/2, right, it's the same thing as 1 over 1 over the square root of x. So square x raised to the power negative 1/2 is the same thing as the reciprocal of the square root of x. Just like x raised to the power negative 1 is the same thing as 1 over x. Is the same way x raised to the power negative 1/2 is the same thing as 1 over the square root of x. So now that we know that, we can happily work without much confusion, because we don't really like confusion, we like learning. So e to the x, right, plus e to the x. Now, x raised to the power negative 1/2, I've explained it here, is the same thing as 1 over the square root of x, plus x e to the x here, plus 2 root x e to the x. And finally, our answer is going to be, let's bring out all the e to the x. We're going to end up with e to the x, bring that all of that out, same thing as 1 plus 1 over square root of x, okay, plus x plus 2 root x. This is our answer. This is basically the final answer to the question. So this is what it is when you're asked to do the derivative of this, of x plus 2 root x, of this right here of e to the x, and you're asked to do the derivative of it. The derivative right here is what you're gonna get in this answer with the arrow. So that is your answer. So hopefully this video was helpful to you guys, and I'm happy if you've been watching the entire product rule series. This is just another way and another question can be set up. The questions that I'm giving you, no matter how complicated they are, they're still based on the basic foundation of mathematics and calculus. And I'm giving you tough questions or questions that will require some level of critical thinking so that you can hone your skills, your math skills. Like, since the type of math skills that you've had since middle school is what you're honing, what you're sharpening right now, right? So the simple, like, finding common denominator, to knowing powers, to applying the power rule as well. So, and to be able to identify subfunctions, and for you to not like make mistakes in positions of subfunctions. So I'm going into detail for the sake of helping you guys, and hopefully this video was helpful. If you like this video, please make sure you love the like button by clicking it, and make sure you subscribe to this channel, and please also leave suggestions in the comment section, because it's only whatever you guys enjoy me making and teaching that that's what I'm going to do. I do some of this questions that I make so that you guys can work hard and learn it, but I also want situations where you guys are putting your suggestions in the comment section so that I can know what is best to make. So make sure you also like click on the notification bell, because if you don't, whenever I post, you're not going to be able to see my videos, and I want you guys to be able to see my videos, to learn from the videos. So I hope to see you guys in the next episode, which is episode 8, and I'm going to be doing a little bit more complicated question and applying the product rule. Thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.